Can you see the slides?
Yes, please.
Nope. Hey, my ending.
Are you able to see now?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. Who else can see? I can see it. Who else can see in addition to the lady?
I can also see. I'm Godwin. I can see, please.
Great, thank you. So today we are here again, as agreed last week, that we are meeting at 12. And 12 is here, and we are also here. So we want to start the ball rolling. Madam Betta, by
Yes,
close of today, I should have the list of everyone in the class, both management and accounting. So I will need the class list. So today we are here to look at another pillar of HR. Last week we delved into what the human resource management stand for. And if you are the HR manager for your school or your sector or in your organization, what exactly will be required of you? So today we are to look at job analysis and HR functions, or job analysis as a HR function. So it tells you that as an HR manager, the first and the foremost thing you have to do, or one of the most important things that you must do as a foundational functional area of your calling or of your position, is to analyze available jobs. So today we want to look at these thematic areas under the theme for today: the meaning of job analysis, the information that we can get from the job analysis, and the processes we have to go through to conduct the job analysis, and how we can use the information that we get from the job analysis, as well as what are the methods we can deploy to collect the job analysis information, among others. So this will be our objectives, that by the end of today's presentation, especially the first one, we should be able to achieve these ones. Today we'll be doing 2 presentations. So today we want to achieve these objectives in the first presentation. And the second one, when we delve into HR planning, then we can also see what are the key objectives that we want to achieve. Remember, I don't forget my assignment. So last week we agreed that you do this. So share with me within 5 minutes, at least 2 or 3 persons. What did you do along this area? Who want to help us? I asked you to find any available job advertisement, something like this. Did you find any job advertisement? Who found one? All of us were supposed to do that. And 2, identify the 2 most important information. Assuming I ask you to group everything here into 2, what do you think would be the 2 basic categorization of the information on this paper? Because this is a job advert. So now, based on that, you are supposed to assume that you are putting up a new school in your community. And the question is, what are the key jobs that you'll be considering? What are the jobs that you think that new school should consider? Which of these jobs are you going to rate higher than the others, and why? The 4th question is asking, why are you rating some jobs higher than the others? What is the basis? What gives you that confidence that this job should be rated higher than this? Why is it so? And then I also ask you to tell me who qualifies to be employed into these jobs, and what exactly would they be doing if they should be employed. Anyone to help me with his findings based on these questions? Hello?
Hi.
Tell me something. Yes, I want to hear you. Somebody should talk to me. Oh. Madam Beta.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So talk to me now.
So, sir, I saw a job advertisement from Bright Future Academy, and the first thing that I looked at is the job description. So, the job description is looking for a qualified and dedicated teacher to teach at the basic school level. So, the successful candidates will be responsible for preparing lesson plans, assessing student performance, and maintaining classroom discipline. And they also give out some requirements. That's a diploma or degree in education. Then teaching experience is an advantage, good communication skills, and ability to manage a classroom effectively. So they also give the application deadline, which is 30th April 2026. And they also give out how to apply your or how to send your CV and application letter to their email. And the second most important information in the advertisement was the job requirement or the qualification. And this shows the education skills and experience needed for the job. And it helps applicants how to know whether they qualify for the job or they do not qualify for the job. And
Okay.
the third question, the key jobs in a new school and their ratings. So the job position, the rating, and the reason. So the headmaster or the headmistress is rated high because he or she is responsible for overall management of the school. And teachers is also rated high because they provide teaching and learning for students. And we also have accountant or BESA is also rated high because they manage school finances. And I also have the security guard it's rated moderate because he or she is supposed to protect school property and students. And the last one is the cleaner and the school cook. And the cleaner is rated low because he maintains, when it comes to the cleanliness of the school, he's supposed to do that. And the school cook is also rated low because he is going to prepare food for the students. And the last one is the who qualify for D jobs and their duties. So the headmaster, the qualification is degree in education and teaching
We'll
experience.
leave that one to another day. What we need for
Okay,
today, you have given them to us.
okay, sir.
So we are grateful that you were able to do this. And as we move on, you'll see how what you have done will play out in today's lesson, is to help you to understand what will be taught. So if you do what you are asked to do, it paves way for you to understand the concept very well. So what you have done is basically going to be expatiated upon in today's discussion. So we'll make progress with what we've done. And those of us who have done similar thing, you are supposed to put all what you have done into a write-up. Keep it. Today you'll be given a different assignment. You're going to follow up. So every week and what you are given, you write it and add to it. So today we are supposed to borrow from this know-how or this understanding, this level of knowledge that we have acquired through this assignment as a leverage to move on. So that is basically what you have done. So let's see how it goes. Job analysis. Job analysis. We are looking at how to analyze jobs. And basically, we are determining the relative worth of a job. How important is a particular job to the other in the same organization? Or how is important a particular job in one organization compared to the same job in another organization? That is exactly what we want to do today. So when we say a task, we are referring to a logically related set of actions required for the completion of a well-defined unit of a job. So a task is a unit of a job. But when we say a duty is a set of tasks. So you see that a number of tasks that are logically related is what we put together to call a task. That is what we call duty. So a task is just a unit of a job, but several units of a job are what we call duty. But when we say a job, then it's a group of related activities and duties that is assigned to somebody. What then is a position? The different duties and responsibility performed by only one employee. But that is not the main focus today. Our focus is analysis. How we, in detail, examine the element or the structure of the job to determine which job deserves to be rated higher and which job deserves to be rated lower, and why. So at the heart of every human resource management practice is the job analysis. As a matter of fact, if you have not done job analysis, you have no business advertising any job position. So is the bedrock, is the foundation. Without it, you do not have the justification to go out there. It's like saying that you want to marry. The first thing anybody will ask you is, are you prepared? To be prepared means both by age or mental maturity and also your physical preparation. So you cannot say you want to marry without being prepared. So if you want to go out there and advertise, are you prepared? If you are prepared, it means you might have done job analysis. So at the heart of these HR functions is this human resource analysis or job analysis. So quality job information derived from job analysis, which is defined as the systematic study of a job in order to obtain information that forms the basis for a variety of job-related decisions. So job analysis is central to all human resource activities and decisions because it is necessary for the performance of all various human resource management functions, such as job design, job evaluation, recruitment, selection, training, development. So all that we are going to do for the HR for next week and the following week, you will see that without this foundation, we are not going anywhere. And it will be exercise in futility if you as a HR manager fail to do job analysis before embarking on any other of the HR functional areas. So we say that job analysis is basically the process of studying jobs in an organization. So the question was asked, which job will you rate higher and which job will you rate lower? You cannot and you should not do that without job analysis. Meaning you must study each job, look at the structure of the job. What does it require to do this job? What kind of skills and competence, what kind of qualifications are required of a person who is taking up this job to agree that this job in this organization should be rated higher than every job? You must do the studying of the job. 2, according to the Practical and Professional Management Signature 2018, job analysis is a detailed and systematic study and presentation of information such as skills, knowledge, ability, and responsibilities relating to operation of that job. So if you say you have several jobs in the organization, job analysis will tell us for each of the job, the kind of skills anybody who wants to do that job should have, the kind of knowledge and abilities that such people should have before they can perform each of these jobs. If you are looking for technology transfer personality or expert, if you are looking for a headmistress or headmaster, if you are looking for a French teacher, you should know exactly what you are looking for. In case you are saying that you are looking for a headmaster, a teacher, accountant, security, cleaner, what skill or competence, knowledge or dexterity do these people need to be able to perform the job? It must be clear to you. And then who would these people be responsible to? As a teacher, who will you be responsible to? As a headmaster, who will you be responsible to? Accountant, who will you be responsible to? These things will have to be clear in relating to the operation of that job. So as I carry on the job as a lecturer, who am I responsible to? Who are going to work under me? Who are my equals? This up, down, horizontal relationship you need to establish before you can think of bringing people in. So job analysis is the procedure through which you determine the duties of these positions and the characteristics of the people to hire for them. So on the left side of the coin, or at the other side of the coin, or at one side of the coin, you are answering the questions, what will the holder of the job be doing? So it's not enough determining the positions. You have identified the positions here: headmaster, teacher, accountant, security, cleaner. The question is, as a cleaner, as a teacher, what will I be doing if I appoint me as a teacher? As a headmaster, if you appoint me, what will I be doing? These are the duties of the position. That is the left-hand side. The right-hand side is answering the question, what human characteristics do I need to possess before I do the job? So at one breath, you are talking about, or you are looking at, what will somebody who will come here as a headmaster, or who will take the position as a headmaster, what exactly would the person be doing on a daily basis? So that answers the duties. And then the right-hand side will be asking, which caliber of person do we need to do this? So basically, you are asking yourself, what qualification, experience, or human characteristics would the person need to be in the position of the headmaster? So job analysis will provide you two pieces of information, which I have described at the left-hand side and right-hand side pieces of information. So the left-hand side, which I have said is about the duties, is what we technically call the job description. That job description is a list of what the job entails. So anybody calling himself a headmaster, anybody calling himself a cleaner, anybody calling himself a teacher will have what we call job description. Basically, that is what anybody who will take that job is expected to do. Then the right-hand side information is also technically called job specification. Not job specialization, but job specification. This is a characteristic that the person who will be coming to take up the job should hold. So we have the job factor and the human factor. So the job factor is the job description, and the human factor is the job specification. These are the two things that you must produce if you indeed analyze any job. You cannot say you have done a job analysis without producing these two pieces of information. Because if I ask you to look at a job opening and group the information into two, I basically want you to tell me what are the job description and what are the job specification. That is what you are supposed to do. So you hear the one who gave his side of the issue telling us about job description. He said qualities. What did I even write? Qualities of a teacher, or what qualifies the teacher for the basic school level. So he's looking at, if you come in as a teacher at the basic school level, what exactly will you be doing on daily basis? Then he also talked about the job requirement and qualification. So the job requirement and qualification in terms of experience, age, and those things are your human factor, are the things you should possess before you are employed. You need to have them to be able to be employed, to take up the position and then perform the job description. But you need to be told ahead of time that when you take up this job, this and that will be required of you. So as a teacher, who will help me to know some of the specific job duties or responsibility, or what we call the job description of a teacher? Basic one. Somebody should help me. Hello? Hey, am I not online?
You are, Doc.
And then we are doing it together. Oh, the way you are quiet. I'm asking somebody as a teacher. I guess most of you are teachers. So tell me what is some job description of any teacher you know or yourself. What is it that when you go to work or a teacher is supposed to do on daily basis? A teacher, class teacher, or headmaster, or what have you?
Today's dog is teaching.
You teach. That is just one.
So you prepare your lesson notes.
You prepare your lesson note. That is two. What again?
You assess the students.
You assess them. That is three.
Marking of the register.
Marking of the register. So attendance is of concern to you. Yes, for what
Sir,
again?
please, you see to read that the learners work on their various plots on the school compound.
So environment, cleaning of the environment.
You engage them on co-curriculum activities.
Like what?
Sports.
Sports, okay. What again? So these are some of them.
General supervision of the children. I think some have to be guided.
Okay, so supervision. Okay, so if you are writing a letter to somebody who you have appointed as a teacher, you need to specify. Or if you are giving condition of work to condition of work to a teacher, you need to spell out what he needs to be doing as a teacher. So in advertising a position of a job of a class teacher, you need to show in your job description that you will be doing A, B, C, D in your position as a teacher. If you don't do this, it means your job analysis is not properly done. It's not thoroughly done. Okay, let's look at the one our brother gave us. What do I need to become a teacher? In terms of the what we call what's the name? The job specification. What human factors or what human perspective of the job do I need to be able to take up the class teacher at the basic school?
So you may require your pedagogic skills.
Okay. So what about your qualification? Qualification, skills, age, experience. What again? These are things that you bring But it must be indicated in the advert that anybody applying for this job must be of this qualification, must have first degree, must have a degree in a particular area or just first degree, must be able to do what, must be of this age, must have 1 year. You heard our brother when he was mentioning, he said having something experience, some number of years experience will be advantage. So basically it's telling you that your human factor to be brought on board is equally important. So every job analysis is supposed to produce pieces of information like this. And we say that when you do that, then you can now go out to advertise. So talking about job analysis, simply put, is determining the structure of each job to arrive at the importance of that job in relation to other jobs in the organization. So you ask yourself, what do I need to achieve with the job analysis? You are supposed to come out with the job description and the job specification. So these are the two things. Now, the next thing we want to look at is the job analysis process. I'm getting a feedback again. Okay, so to do the job analysis, you need to follow this basic process. The first one is to identify the job to be examined and its contribution to the mission state. The second one is to review relevant background information about the job and select the representative positions, then determine appropriate. Yes.
I think Mark is still, this thing is on, his microphone is on, so it's distracting the class. Mark.
I think it's gone now. It's gone now. So, and then organize and analyze the data collected and develop job description and specification. So your ultimate is the job description and specification. If you don't achieve it, all the earlier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 processes are not effective. So now let's see, what are the type of information collected? When you do the job analysis, you collect information on work activities. So if I'm gathering information on the teaching activities, I must know that the teaching for a term is broken into what we call scheme. A scheme will present to me a topic or a concept to be taught for a week or more. And if that is available, then I have to prepare a lesson note on each topic. In preparing the lesson note, I must know how to introduce the lesson, how to deliver the lesson, how to close the lesson, and how to give assessment to the student, and how to make sure until the next meeting time, the students are somehow engaged. So you are collecting information on the teaching activities. So work activities relate to the series of things that somebody holding the job will be doing. If you talk about marking or assessment, you must know it is both what you do during the teaching and after that. So you have some quizzes, assignments, class tests to be conducted, and then at the end of the term, you have to conduct another assessment. At the end of the day, you must put all together. It's not just enough, you must mark and then tabulate to determine who gets what, who is in which position, and you have to do all this. So it's a matter of getting details about what is done. If you have to be supervising the students, what exactly goes into the supervision? All this information will have to be gathered. If you take the other aspect, which is the human behavior, you are looking at anybody who calls himself a teacher or a class teacher. What should be your behavior? Gone are the days teachers do not put on any manner of dress. And now the ladies are putting on even jeans. Ladies are putting on t-shirts. Yet if you go to the class, you bend down to pick things. And you say you are teaching. Ladies are standing in front of the kids with everything drawn at their back. Is that a kind of behavior you want a teacher to come and demonstrate before the students? You are looking for what kind of behavior in terms of when you come to school, how often you come to school, to regularity, punctuality, are all kinds of behavior you are looking at. So who should be the person to be in that position? What kind of behavior will you sanction? What kind of behavior will you applaud? Which kind of behavior will you want to look at? The hairstyle of some teachers before their class and in presence of the students. Look at the kind of hair. Some male teachers who wear slippers, wear anything. Some just wake up, will not even take good care of the body. Then they are there in the name of they are going to teach. Is that the kind of behavior we want? And then temperamental, emotionalism. Teachers, you want people to come and take care of children, of others' future. Are they in control of their own emotions? You talk about the machines, tools, and equipment and what is that the person would need to be able to perform. So I will need a marker, I will need chalk, I will need projector, computers, TV, I will need what other things? Several other things that will aid the teaching. So teaching and learning aids. So you are gathering information on job analysis, but you need to know more about what it takes to do the job. So you are collecting information on work activities, human behavior, machines, tools, and other things. And the performance standard. What is it that you need to see to say that the person has performed? Is it when the student, after 3 years in the school, have been able to write the BEC and get aggregate 6 or 12, that you say the teacher has performed? Or is after they have gone through the WASI exams for after 3 years and they have gotten their 8 A's up to 5 A's before you can say that the person performed? Or is when the teacher takes money from the student that he claims he's conducting classes for and decide to pass them by adding marks to what they get, and then he's stopping the class in the school. Then when he goes to the WASI exam, then he couldn't even get a single A. Is that the performance you are? So you need to establish what exactly is the performance. So some performance is coming to school early. It's not about the teaching or the performance of the student. To some performance is dressing. It's how you dress nicely. So you must decide on what kind of performance you want to measure. To some, when it comes to work, what is performance for them is moving from the big men to go and gossip. So to you, what the job you are analyzing, what kind of level of performance are you establishing that somebody must achieve A, B, C, D to say that the person has performed? Job context. The environment where the job must exist must be analyzed. So you need to be clear in your mind which kind of environment is the job going to operate. Where is the school going to be situated? Is it, which setting is it? All these influence the kind of information you need and the kind of person you need to take the job. And the human requirement, qualification, your age, your experience, that anybody who is in need of this job must acquire to be able to do the job. So when you are gathering job analysis information, these are the things that you gather. So having gone through the 5 processes and then in the 6th one, which is where you come out with the job description and the job specification, we ask ourselves, what then is the job description? We said the job description is the written description or the written perspective or written statement of the tasks, duties, and responsibility of the job holder. If I take up the job, what exactly will I be doing? That is what constitutes the job description. In every job description, you'll see the job title: class teacher, headmaster, school accountant, school bazer, cleaner. That is a title. So in every job description, you also see the job identification section. So that job, is it a managerial or non-managerial level? If you put yourself in a teacher or a head of department or head of unit, where will you classify that? Are you part of the academic board of your school? Because it's management that are part of certain level of decision making. Non-managers do not find themselves in certain level of the organization. So it must be clear to you in identifying the job. Where will you classify it? Will it be among the top, or it will be the middle range, or at the lower level? So if you put the headmaster, the teacher, and the cleaner, could you put all of them at the same level, or you think one will be at higher level, the other will be in the middle, the third one will be at the lowest, or you think it will only be 2, low and high? That must be clear to you. Then we say the job summary, or the overview of the job. As a teacher, as you mentioned, oh, the teacher will be doing what? Will be doing the teaching, will be doing assessment. And this is just a summary. Because when you go into the teaching itself, there are several things you do before you teach. So you're only giving a summary that as a teacher, you'll be teaching maybe 5 or 6 or 8 or 9 or 12 or 21 hours a week or whatever. So a summary is only telling us what are the key activities I'll be performing as a teacher. So in your job description, you indicate the summary or the overview of the job. Then the job duties or the functions, the job duties and the functions. So under each of them, you see more of the activities that you'll be performing. So as a teacher, you'll be doing A, B, C, D. Somebody who, as part of your assessment, you'll be assessing students on A, B, C, D. And as a supervisor, you'll be supervising A, B, C, D. So you are giving details of what the teacher will be doing. And then we say that it outlines the second one, which is the job specification. It will also tell you the personal qualification and skill a person must have in order to perform the job. So it is a statement of the needed knowledge, skill, and abilities of the person who is to perform the job. So having gotten this job specification and job description information out of the job analysis, what will you use them for? One, you use them for things like this: recruitment and selection, performance appraisal, job evaluation, and training requirement. So you see here that job analysis information is, when gathered, can be used for developing job description and job specification. Without it, you cannot place any advert. Since it is HR function, HR information, it also provides the information required for other organizational activities that depend and also support the job. So you cannot advertise if you do not have the job description and the person's specification. So you are able to only advertise because you are unable to do this, to put these pieces of information together, if you don't have what we call the job analysis done. So with this job, you see that the date to apply is 25th March 2026. He says he wants warehouse or stores officers for immediate employment. And is telling us the job description here. You are going to manage receipt, storage, and dispatch of raw materials and finished goods. Ensure inventory accuracy and optimize stock levels. Coordinate with what? Procurement and supply, and manage vendor relationship. Maintain warehouse organization, safety and cleanliness, and support supply chain efficiency using purchasing expertise. Then it gives you the technical qualification. You must have a degree or HND in purchasing and supply management. You must have knowledge in inventory management, stock control, and you must have basic computer skills, inventory software, and 1 to 2 years experience is desirable. This all what is here. The most important thing for our teaching today is these 2 pieces of information. So if you have not done the job analysis, you cannot put this advert out there. If you put the advert out there, the basic question some of us will ask you is that if I employ, how would you know, or if I apply, how will you know I qualify or I don't qualify? And even if I qualify and you employ me, what will I be doing for you? So the job analysis will lead to job description and job specification. And until this is established, you can never talk about any of the green buttons here. So this is the first and the foremost. That is what leads to the rest of the HR activities. So that's why we have it here first, before talking about what we call recruitment and selection. So now, having established this, the first one, you can now roll out the advert in the newspaper, because in the newspaper, you have the job specification and job description. Then now people can now start writing to you that I'm interested in working with your organization. It's when they have done that and you have gone through the process of selecting the best one, then you can determine, because in your job analysis, you would have come across what we call person specification. That's the qualification. You know, if somebody is applying or somebody has applied as a master's degree holder and you have employed a person, you must know how much to pay, compensation. So job description, job analysis information such as person specification helps to determine compensation, not only recruitment and selection. So the kind of skills and competence the person is coming on board will determine how much you pay the person. So the second uses of job analysis information is compensation. You can talk about what we call training. Is also another importance of job analysis information. That is to say that if you have done your job analysis well, you know the skill and competence everybody coming on board should have. Assuming somebody has a measure but doesn't have it at the level you want, when you bring the person on board, because you have done your job analysis, you really know what to add onto what the person comes with to be able to be there so that he can perform the job for you. And then the next one is about performance appraisal. Job analysis help us to undertake performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is basically checking the progress the teacher is making on the task that has been assigned to you or the target. So if you are supposed to produce 30 A's or 38 A's in the class of 35 people, and then the remaining 5 supposed to produce, let's say, 7 A's or 7 A1s, I don't know how you call it. What it means is that we should measure you based on the number of people who get A's. The question is, do we wait till the WASI exam take place and the results come in before we check? Or we should be using the performance of the student at the end of every semester to really tell whether these ones that we are looking up to, they will either make it or not. If you check certain schools, what they do is that If WASI is using 80 to determine A, some schools will move it to 90. They will make it more stringent so that if you are able to be making the A's in the school, then they can be sure that when it comes to the WASI, you can make it for us. So it's a deliberate thing to measure the teacher's performance on the job over time. How does the job analysis come in here? The job analysis is what is giving the duties and the responsibility and the human factor. So it helps you to know what kind of target you should set for the holder of the job. And additional information that we can use or we can get or uses of job analysis is to say that job analysis is a method for discovering unassigned duties that should become a formal part of the job. So if you've done your job analysis very well, you will see what exactly you'll be able to assign and what you have not assigned. Whether it should reconstitute what has not been assigned, as you know, that anytime you are given a letter of appointment, you are told any other duties that your superior will assign to you. Any other, almost every appointment. So that is key to us because it tells you that there is unassigned duties. It has not, it's not been mentioned, but it is a duty that will be assigned. So at any point in time, your boss may assign you to do the unassigned and any other duty. How can I collect the job analysis information? That is the methodology. And I can do that through interviews, questionnaires, observation, or diary method. How do I do that through the interview? The job analyst, the person who does the job analysis, last week we agreed that there are aspects of the HR management job for specialization. So some people are not interested in skill and talent. Their expertise is determining the relative work of job in organization. So they are called job analysts. So the job analyst and the supervisor can work together to identify the workers who know the job best. And they quickly establish rapport with such people and engage them in discussion. So they ask them questions about the job because you want to gather information on the job. You need to interview people. To interview is one of the data collection methods. As much as some data collection method, you need to be away for the person to provide the answers. For interviews, you must be in the presence of the interviewee. The answer from the interview is not the answer. The response from the interviewee is not the sole answer to your question. The body language is more important than the answer. So check that. So the interview as a data collection tool gives you an upper hand over several other tools because you are live before the interviewee. Whatever question you ask him, the body language, if the interviewee is before the husband and you ask him how many times has your husband beaten you yesterday, and she tend to look at the man's face and say, remember whatever she is about to say is not the answer. The answer is in the and the looking into the face of the husband. That is the answer. It's because the husband is around. That's why he's giving you that other answer. But the actual answer is in the So interview sessions are interesting. We watch the body language of the interviewee in addition to the words or the responses that they will give. So when you are interviewing, you have questions that you want to ask. And these questions could be structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. So if it is structured, it means the questions are the same for everybody. And the question 1, question 2, question 3 are going to go up for everybody. If it is unstructured, then it means that it is open. It is not close-ended. So if it is open, for example, if I ask you, what is your experience with online learning? And I leave everybody to write. everybody will write anything he thinks is his feeling or his experience. But if I say online learning is A, interesting, 2, not interesting, 3, do not want to respond. What it means is that all of you must choose between the 3. So it's close-ended. But because I've opened it up and I said, share with me your experience, then you see that people will share, others will be short, some others' own will be very long. But in all, it's based on what you can remember, what your interesting moment and what your disinteresting moments have been with online learning. So interview sessions are ruled by question, and you as the questioner must have expertise in how you ask the question, how you solicit the answer, and how you navigate through, and how you are able to come in with follow-up questions. Because you may ask one question, somebody may decide to answer without knowing that these are other questions on your paper. The interviewee can answer several other questions on your paper without even knowing that you want to ask that question. When you meet a typical talkative, just simple question, you will say several things. Then some people who are also very economical with words, you ask them one question, they will give you the exact answer. And you ask them the next question again before they will open up. So you must learn to know how to come in with what we call follow-up questions to be able to get the information you want. So you ask the worker to list his or her duties in order of importance and frequency of occurrence, because you want to understand the task. What are the activities in the work? You want to understand them. So you ask workers to list what exactly they do when they come to work, and they will list them for you. After completing the interview, review and verify the data. So you see, these two are engaged in interview, and the interview could be structured or unstructured. So if you see a response to be provided to be categorized into the researcher's own determinant or format, either it must be yes or no, then you must know that that's a structured one. When they give you the opportunity to write what you think it is, then that is unstructured, it is open. So most of the time, the structured interview may follow a series of same questions for everybody, and the unstructured may not follow that format. So we say that you can get information on the job analysis from individual employees, group of employees, so that you can do one-on-one interview. You can also do what we call group interview or what we call focus group interview. You can also get it from supervisors of the job. What are some of the advantages of the interview as a tool for data collection on job analysis? It's quick. When you ask the question direct, you get the answers direct. So you can tell when you see the interviewee before you, sometimes you can tell whether he's telling lie or not. And if he doesn't understand something, he can also quickly ask you. But sometimes the disadvantage is that information can be very distorted. Some of them can really lie to you. Okay. And then we talk about the second one, which is questionnaire. This is another tool for collecting data on information, job analysis information. How does it happen? Unlike the interview, where you sit face to face with the interviewee, questionnaire, you will distribute the questionnaire to many people, and then you leave them. You give them time, they will fill the questionnaire, and then you come for it. So you see, the questionnaire is used to gather data from a large pool of people, whilst interview cannot do that. Questionnaire can gather so many, or can gather a lot of information from several people within the shortest possible time, but it cannot go detail. It talks about the quantity, this number of people, but it doesn't provide us with the issue or the information on the why and the how. It's only interview that can tell us the feeling, the experience of people, but questionnaire cannot tell us that. So basically, if you are dealing with a large number of people scattered all over and you need the information within the shortest possible time, Then the tool to use is questionnaire. And a questionnaire can be open-ended or closed-ended. So when using the questionnaire, you can get information or have employees fill out questionnaire to describe their job-related duties and responsibilities. You can have structured and open-ended questions. Then we say that it has advantage of quick and efficient way to gather information from a large number of employees. So it's quick and efficient when you are dealing with large number. But if it's only few people that you are dealing with, in terms of depth, how and why, is only interview that can provide that, not questionnaire. But when it comes to large numbers, then the quickest and efficient way is questionnaire. It has a disadvantage. It has disadvantages such as expense and time consumed in preparing and testing the questionnaire before you go to the field. Is worth considering. So we talk about a third element, which is the third tool for data collection, which is what we call observation. So observing and noting the physical activities of employees as they go about their job by manager. So with observation, you are not asking anybody any question. You yourself, you are a researcher observing what is happening in your environment. Sometimes you are observing as an external person. Other times you are observing as part of the process. So Anas will now get himself employed in the organization and then be observing what is going on in the organization and later come out and report. That is participant observation. He is part of the process. Then you can have people who are not part of the process, who would just be observing from outside. The question always arises, should I inform you that I'll be coming to observe you? During the teaching practice, we are told that we have to inform our mentors that we will be teaching at this time so that they know and come. But if I tell you that I'll be coming to observe you today, won't you fake your behavior to seem like you are doing something good, when indeed ordinarily, on the ordinary days, you don't do anything proper like you are showing to me? So the argument about, should I tell you that I'll be coming to observe you or not, are also areas of debate which continue to wage on. But come to think of it, observation has a good side and some disadvantages as well. What are some of the good sides? It provides first-hand information. It reduces distortion of information. What are some of the disadvantages? It's time-consuming. Reactivity response distort employee behavior. And the difficulty in capturing an entire job cycle will be difficult. Sometimes what's observing, your eyes are only on one part. And sometimes when you are watching people and they know that you are watching them, of course, fakeness will come in. Of little use of job involves a high level of mental activity. So if I'm not using the physical strength, how are you able to observe the job that requires mental activity? How will you know what is going on in the minds of somebody? How easy is it going to be if you want to observe that? So observation also has a limitation. Then we talk about the fourth one, which is the last one, participant diary or logs. Teachers have been given diaries by GES. The essence is that you should be able to record your movement out and in, so that if by 31st December 2026, I pick your diary, I should be able to analyze and tell what and what you've done in the year, where and where you have been in the year. So if police will mistakenly pick you with, or if somebody has gone to lie to the police that you are an armed robber or you are that, by laying hands on your diary, it should be able to tell us whether indeed you were in school or not. So schools have what we call attendance books. They have movement books. They have whatever books. In order to check who and who are in school at what time and what is who is doing at what time, so that if there's an issue, they will know who and who to bring on board. So workers keep a chronological diary or log of what they do and the time they spent on each activity. So if you want to collect data on any job for job analysis, and then you want to use the participant diary or log, you ask every job holder to write in a chronological order what they do and the time, how many minutes or hours or minutes or seconds do they spend on each activity. Because you want to determine the importance of every job. So you must know activities that they do. You must know how long they spend, what time they spend on it. And it must be in a chronological order to help you that this one comes first, this one comes second, and this one comes third. Advantages. This method produces a more complete picture of the job, which questionnaire could not do, which observation could not do. Employee participation in this one is very high. You can see them. You can see that everybody is involved. The disadvantage is that information can easily be distorted. Depends upon employees to accurately record the activity. You are asking what I have done before. Sometimes I can only say what I remember. Those ones that I will not be able to remember, I may not be able to do that. So if you talk about the tools, these are the tools for job analysis, data gathering. What are some of the benefits? It helps to ensure as many job relevant characteristics are feasible. So it helps to measure as many job relevant characteristics. And then it establishes similarities and differences in jobs. So when you do the job analysis well, you are able to tell which job is similar to the other and which job is different from the rest. And then it will help you to establish internally fair and consistent job structure, because you need to know the similarities and how compensation should come in. So that when you are introducing compensation, you see which jobs are similar internally and which jobs are not similar. So that when you are thinking of compensation, you will not compensate and somebody will think that he has been unfairly compensated. And then it helps to identify job candidates with the highest potential to become top performers. So if you do your job analysis very well, definitely you'll be able to know who the top job performers are and how to move them, to grow them, to become better persons. What are some of the limitations of job analysis? Some of the limitations of job analysis that some job analysis are not done well. Some are not even done at all because top managers do not provide support. To some, it is ineffective. So ineffectiveness of using single data source. So some, they only use one data source. Those who want to really benefit, they use more than just one. So they use questionnaire plus interview, and then sometimes observation. So they use more than one. So in a research balance, you may say they are using mixed method. Preparing a very useful job analysis can be time and labor intensive and costly. So some people, because of the time that you spend, because of the money involved, racking your brain and still paying money to get this thing done, especially when you are bringing consultant expert, it's very expensive. So some do not want to go into that, so they will not even do it at all. There are usually inherent personal biases. So of course, it's a human institution and it's human being that do the analysis. So there is some level of biasness in the job analysis. Job, for example, if you ask me to come and analyze jobs in your organization, and there's a teaching job and another job, because I'm a teacher, when I'm analyzing the job, I'll tell you the teaching job is a important one. And I'll bring all issues on board to justify that the teaching is important. Have you forgotten that one of the highest paid jobs in Ghana used to be in the teaching? There are other countries up to now, the highest paid job in those countries is teaching. But we have lost it other jobs have now taken over, and the teacher or the teaching is not even attractive to today's generation any longer. Job analysis cannot forecast or predict the future requirements of job in situations where there is a major change in industry norms. So when it comes to that predictive power, job analysis does not have it. So in terms of the most important issues, we have covered them, but these are just some terms to help you. So we have talked about job analysis, we've talked about job description. If you want to talk about the job family, a group of 2 or more individual jobs with similar characteristics. Talk about job specification, we have explained. Job evaluation, this is a systematic determination of relative worth of a job within an organization that results in organization's pay system. So talk about person specification, job rotation, job enlargement. These are just some terminology in HR which may not necessarily be what we are looking for today, but is to help you do or understand the terrain. You are education student, you want to understand business stuff. So you just provided there for you to acquaint yourself with it, but they are not necessarily for today's or for the teaching. So as I indicated earlier, we'll be taking class exercise. Identify and write down the job description and job specification information in the next 2 slides. So here, we are supposed to do this right now to go to the next presentation. So you can see that here in this advert, you see that the job specification is up, is first one, but they didn't call it job specification. After the position, you can see that the next thing was qualification and experience, and everything there relate to the job specification. Then it follows by the job description, and you can see it there. Other things are there, salary, age, which we may add to the job specification. Application process, that is also there. The address and what have you to apply are there. If you take this one, you can see very well that the person starts with the qualification again before the responsibilities. Here, they didn't write anything, specification or description. But you as an expert, you know what they are talking about. So use 10 minutes to prepare job description and job specification for the position of a class teacher in your school. So if I ask you to write job description and job specification for a class teacher in your school that you are looking forward to employ, what will you write? What will you write? We are doing that exercise within 5 minutes. Then we move to the next presentation. Here we say, use the job analysis information prepared for the class teacher this week to provide answers for the following questions as against next week's lecture. So you are to determine 3 sources to be used to advertise the class teacher's position. And 2, identify and explain 3 ways you will be able to select the right applicant from the pool of applicants to fill the class teacher's position. So you do this for next week. But for today, we are doing this. We are using 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes to prepare job description and specification for a class teacher position. Then by the time you are done, I will switch to the next presentation. The second presentation for the day will be done, and we have to leave here before 3. Any question before we start the class exercise for 5 minutes? Am I online with you or I've lost connection?
Good morning.
Am I online?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please, I want to ask a question.
Yes.
When you were talking about the job analysis,
Yes.
I think getting to the end, you said job analysis cannot be used for predictive exercises. I am also thinking that if it is well effectively done, it will give you some idea, a futuristic idea about how a job could be analyzed for candidates. So when you say it's not, it cannot be used for predictive exercises, I'm not getting the swinging well.
Okay. So you are referring to this point?
Job analysis and its predictive purposes.
Yes, the job analysis cannot forecast or predict the future requirements of a job in a situation where there is a major change in the industry norms. So it's based on the fact that if there are changes in the industry norms, the job analysis will be very limited.
Okay.
It doesn't mean it cannot do it. It may do it to some extent. But when the basis upon which you are deploying it has changed, and you have not revised the relevance or the parameters of the job, then its predictive capability will be limited.
Okay.
So that is all that we are saying.
Okay. Thank you.
You. Any other question, any contribution? Then start work. Write job description and job specification within 5 minutes for a class teacher position in your school. So you are doing it within 5 minutes. And then I'll switch to the next slide, then we'll start. Okay. Okay, so we want to continue with the second presentation for today. Anyone with any information from the exercise we were doing? Is anybody through? Or do you have any information on what it is that we are supposed to do? You are writing a job description and job specification of a teacher, a class teacher. What did you capture or what did you cover? Anyone to share his experience with us? Hello?
Hi.
Yes, do you want to share your experience
Hi.
with us? Anything to share with us?
Hi.
Yes, you're advertising for a class teacher. What will the job description and job specification be?
The job description is talking about what that the job involved. That is the duties and the responsibility role of that job that they are. But Mama.
Yes, that is true. But I wanted you
Yeah.
to summarize it for a teacher.
Okay. The teacher is under the teacher. What are the duties of a teacher? A teacher is to make a lesson, to teach, how to teach, how to manage the class, marking of the assignment, how to keep the student record, and a way of communication in the class. That's the duty of the teacher.
Okay. Any addition? Any addition?
I also think
Yeah,
that managing.
I added this one to mine. That is supervising learners to clean their classroom before leaving the school. And then also every within the week, that is midweek, check for, that is personal hygiene, check for the students' appearances and all of that. Midweek, that is every Wednesday, that must be done.
Great.
And then also make sure to give exercises, mark them, and provide appropriate feedback to learners. And where remediation is required, the teacher must do it.
Okay. Excellent.
That's what I added.
Yes, it's very tailored to the teacher. So let's see how our second presentation will also go. So that is just a practical exercise on what we have done. We want to look at one of the HR manager's function. That is what we call HR planning, human resource planning, or HRP. The key focus here is on the word planning. So all the things that happen within planning are being borrowed into the HR fraternity, and we call it HR planning. So over here, we are going to look at the meaning of HRP, the importance of the HRP, stages of the HRP, and how to overcome the challenges that are associated with HRP. These are the objectives we want to achieve at the end of this second presentation. And our first class activity is to, how do you determine the right number of teachers needed for the vacancy or vacancies in your school? You remember, I think last week assignment, I think stage either 4 and 5, I think talks about identifying the right number of teachers. So how do you determine the right number of teachers for a vacancy in your school? And how do you determine the right quality of teachers needed for vacancy in your school? So any idea as to how this can be done? How can I determine the right number and the right quality of teachers in my school? Any question, any idea on that?
Well, please, I think you would have to conduct a needs assessment. to ascertain the number of teachers we require in the school.
Okay, that is one. That is more convenient if you are starting a new school. But assuming the school is already in existence and you want to project into the future, let's say a year or two, how will you know the number of teachers that will be required next year or next 2 years or next 5 years or 10? Any idea?
The
By
growing population of the school could determine the rate at which the population grows. That is the number of people you get within an academic year can be used to plan for that one.
Excellent. So that's a historical data in terms of how many students you have in the previous year and how it grew. So if you know the growth of the school, that should tell you that you may need more or you need the same or you need less in the coming years. That is excellent. What other way?
Hello, Doc.
Yes.
Can I also say that you should also consider the number of classes or streams?
Yes. So the growth has implication for classes. If the growth is bringing in more classes and more what then you mentioned, did you say streams or whatever?
Streams.
Yes. So if you are having more of it, then it means that you need more teachers. And you look at the rate at which it's going. If the rate is very high, it means that you can determine the ratio. If every semester you are adding more of 2 or 3 additional teachers, that should tell you the number of semesters that you have ahead and how many teachers you should be planning towards. So these are some ways that you can determine number of teachers. What about the qualities? Any idea? Any idea?
Hello, Doc.
Yes.
I think you can check on their educational qualifications and their teaching experiences.
Yes. So in all this, we are saying that when we are dealing with HR planning, we are basically determining the number of teachers and the caliber or the qualities of teachers we need in the future, because it's planning. So it's all about the future. The future can be immediate. It can be some far distance from us. But all that matters is that because it's planning, we are thinking into the future before the actual need for it arises. So it can be next week, it can be next semester, it can be next term, it can be next year, it can be 10 or 5 years to come. Every school or existing school has a history. So you must tap into the historical data to be able to speak to the future. Both historical and present data can tell you what will happen in the future. There are some that can just look at the ages of the existing teachers to tell how many years are you left to retire. That could tell you how many people will leave their service in the next 2 or 3 years. So that alone can tell you how many people you need in the next few years. You can check how many people leave the school within certain period of time. Some people resign. You can tell historically how many people leave your school a year or a term or semester. That should give you an idea. Some leave because they themselves voluntarily will leave. Some leave sometimes by death or God has called them. So all these must be documented, and you must be able to visit this data to plan for the future. It does not necessarily mean if that is what has been happening. If every year a teacher dies, it doesn't mean that you are praying that it should happen. But that should be a guide to you. If every year 2 or 3 teachers leave to go and join their wives and their husbands somewhere, that should be part of your data to analyze. So you are already thinking and asking the question, the next year or 2, how many people have that intention, so that you can start planning. Some may not make it known to you. Some will make it known to you. You are thinking about data such as what has been said, the expansion, the growth, the streams, and then the number of classes. How is it growing? It's not all the case that you grow. Other times it will be going down. So if it is going down, it will inform you about how to plan for the future. So HRP is the process of analyzing, identifying the need for and availability of human resource so that the organization can meet its objectives. We don't want you to arrive in the school that day as a head teacher, just pick your phone and call the English teacher that, today you are not in school. Then the English teacher will tell you, oh, I retired yesterday. Are you not aware? How will you feel? And what measures will you put in place within that shortest possible time? You engage in some panic measures, which you may even ask the math teacher to go and engage the people in the class because there's nobody available at that time. In order to avoid that, there's a need to plan. So the purpose of the HR planning is to deploy human resources as effectively as possible where and when they are needed in order to achieve organizational goals. What are the relevance or the importance of human resource planning? It helps determine recruitment level and thereby avoid expensive and unsatisfactory panic measures. If you plan, you prepare to get people for the position before the position becomes vacant. If you don't, you arrive at the workplace and your head of department is not at work. You call and say, I've retired. Then you are forced to push somebody there. The person may not qualify. The person will be holding the fort before you get the right person. By the time you get the right person, the harm that has been caused will be very devastating. Asking an English teacher to go and hold the fort for the math teacher, yes, he will engage the class, but what you do in the name of math, when indeed you know you yourself you didn't like math, you can tell the effect on the student. So in order to avoid such mistakes during panic measures, so we want to plan to know what will happen before it happens. 2, to help determine qualifications such as workers should possess. So you see that because we are thinking of the future and we are planning, we ask ourselves, if 5 people are of age 59 and we know next year they're going to retire, basically I ask myself, what qualification do they hold? If I know the qualification they hold, I can tell the caliber of people I need to replace them. Because if you bring lower qualification than the people who are retiring, you pay less, but they may not be able to do the work the way you want it to be done. If you bring higher qualification, they may do the job and do it better, but you'll be paying more for the same job that should have been done by a diploma or first degree holder. So these are issues that you should consider. 3, human resource planning also enabled the organization to monitor the ratio of human resource cost to another cost of production. Remember, the organization is not just there to employ people. When you employ people, they must work. And in order for them to work, they need raw materials. They need computers. They need office space. They need chalk. They need marker. They need other stuff to be able to work. So if you don't plan the number of people you will need and cost for the new people you are going to bring on board, what will be the percentage of their burden on the wage bill? How much will be left for the organization to do other stuff? If you don't plan, you bring the people in and you end up paying them with everything that you accumulate, and renovation of the school become difficult. Buying computers will become difficult. buying marker and other things will be difficult for you because there's no money again. At the end of the day, everything goes into salary, which is not the best. So there's a need to plan so that if what you have cannot take care of 5 people, you know how to reduce it to 3 or 2, so that something will be left to take care of the school. Anticipate redundancy, and if possible, find ways of preventing such situations. If you plan and plan well, you know which areas are going down and how you should handle them. Because at a point in time, some organizations may not find it useful maintaining certain sections of the organization, and that will bring in redundancy. To declare somebody as a redundant, you must think through well as an HR person to know how to go about it, so that the person who is going on a redundancy or who is declared as a redundant can take a redundancy package before he leaves, so that his life will not be worse off. So if you don't plan, you don't know how many people will be affected and what packages you should prepare for such people. And there are legal perspective to declaring a job as a redundant and declaring people as redundant. So you have to know the law, you must follow the processes to declare, and you must make sure it is done ahead, so that there are some activities that if you do not want to employ people for them, you must think of how to redistribute them. Will you give it to somebody to perform, or you employ technology to take over such activities? All these things will have to be done by HR planning. So the HR planner invests time into these things. HRP enable organizations to identify their future workspaces or workspaces requirements in the form of offices, workshops, staff canteen, recreational centers, and residential facilities. If you are bringing 10 additional teachers on board, and your policy is that you house all your teachers, what it means is that you should, because you are bringing 10 additional teachers, you should be thinking of how you are going to accommodate them. Where are you going to keep them? Assuming no one is retiring, or you are bringing 10 and only 2 are retiring. If you give the 2 spaces of the retirees to 2 out of the 10, the remaining 8 people, where would you put them? So it puts you on the path of preparing, thinking about the accommodation and other stuff. If you have 70 teachers on board and your staff common room can only accommodate the 70 teachers, now that you are bringing 20 more teachers in addition, making 90, where would they sit? If you go for staff meeting, where would they sit? These are things that if you begin to plan, you begin to see that these problems are going to occur, then you start planning towards them. So HRP is important in this regard. What are the stages? These are the stages of HR planning. 5. First, you do the environmental scanning, forecasting demand for supply, forecasting or analyzing supply of the employees, and then balancing the supply and the demand. That's the 2 and the 3. And then development of the plan for action. So we take the first one. The forces which an organization must monitor in its environmental include the following. So if we say environmental scanning is the monitoring and picking signal information from either the internal or the external environment, because this environment or these pieces of forces in the environment can have impact on your operation. So what information will you pick from the environment? You are monitoring the environment, you are scanning the environment to pick the following. 1, economic factors. Economic factors. You see, when labor is going to the table for negotiation with government, they go with figures. They check the inflation. They check the cost of living. These are economic indicators. So when you are scanning the environment, you are also scanning the environment for environmental economic factors such as inflation, such as borrowing, cost of borrowing, interest rate, and all this, because they have impact on your cost of living. So you are picking these signals from the environment because it has an impact on your operation. Your ability to borrow from the bank is influenced by the cost of borrowing, which is the interest rate. Your ability to import raw materials to produce goods and services is influenced by what? The exchange rate. The cost of the material, even in the local market, is influenced by what? The inflationary issues. So you are not in an island. The environmental factors such as economic variables can influence you greatly as a school. 2, competitive trends such as the use of new process and introduction of innovation. So you are competing in every industry. Other schools are competing with you, or you are competing with other schools. If you don't put yourself out there, or if you don't strategize and do your things well, other schools, no matter where they are, because they are doing their things well, will take all the students away from you. They'll take the best, especially the rich parents who can pay. They'll take them away from you. So you must also monitor your environment and know which schools are ahead of you, which schools are at par with you, which schools are behind you, which schools are new ones that are entering. You must know the strategies they are using, so that if you need to learn from them, you learn and catch up early enough so that you are not left behind. Because you must be aware of what kind of competition is going on in your area, in your industry, in your geographical location, to be able to marshal strategies to meet and beat your competitors and survive. 3, another factor or variable or force we pick from the environment is technological change. So now you see, it does not matter any longer of the level of education. Everybody is deploying online, Zoom. So Zoom online teaching has become the order of the day. That is what you and I are doing right now. So technology or technological deployment in the industry, you have to monitor. How is it being done? How is it being used? What are the advantages and disadvantages of technology on your operations? Which one can best help you? Which one cannot help you? Which ones are your competitors using? How can you lead the competition? How can you, or you want to leapfrog? How do you want to be at par? There are some people, they are the initiators, they are the innovators, they bring the technology. Others will also wait, and they are the laggers. Last minute, when the technology is even a cake, that is when they will adapt it. So you must be aware of the technology in the area and make sure you catch up or be ahead of technology. Environmental scanning or situational analysis will also pick signal on political and legislative issues. Assuming for the past 8 years or the past 9 years, you have been a proprietor of a private secondary school in Ghana, you will see, just by a simple political decision of introducing free SHS, you see the effect that it will have on you. That is a political and legislative issues. So you know that a citing or coming out with a new school is not just something that you can just do by disrespecting the laws of the country. You know what you must go through to register the school. You know what you must do to acquire land. You know what you must do to meet the standard of the structure you have to put there. You know the standard you have to ensure in terms of the finishing. The other day, somebody was saying that in Ghana, there's something we are all not obeying when it comes to accommodation and other stuff. According to the laws of the land, just as we go for permit to put up structures, when we are done with the building, we are supposed to go for permit to go and inhabit the place. But all of us, when we finish building, we just move into it without a permit to occupy the place. And legislatively, or according to the laws of the land, we're supposed to take permit again before we go into our own apartment. But That's not what we do. So there are political factors or forces in the environment that can influence your operation as a school. And you need not take them lightly, because if you disrespect the laws of the land, your school can be shut down. Your school can be closed. We talk about social and cultural issues in the environment that you have to pick. Your society where you are found, the people that you pick as students and the teachers that you pick as teachers to teach, they have culture. They belong to society. The taste and the preference of the population or the society or the community where you are situated must be monitored. If it is changing, you must find a way of meeting their tastes and preferences. If not, they will leave your school and go to the far school from them that can provide their needs or the differences in their taste and preferences. So your existence as a school must do what we call environmental scanning as the first step in your human resource planning. The last one is what we call demographic trends. Age, literacy, increase or decrease life expectancy. Because if you are scanning the environment, you must know that before now, by the time you finish, before the introduction of the what's the name? Bees, was it? Is the BEC. Before the introduction of BEC and the WASI, remember, before somebody would start working, the person would have attended school for almost about 30 years and over. So by the time you even enter into the job market, you are over 35 or something years. Some educate themselves to the extent that by the time they finish school, they are more than 30 or 40 years. So today is not the same. Check before now, women are not necessarily in the job market. But now, go and check the percentage of women in the job market. You can meet a typical Form 4 leaver or Form 5 leaver or what have you. The English they would speak is far more than a university graduate today. Formerly with diploma, you could head a branch of an organization. Today, a master's holder is even finding it difficult to get a job, left alone heading. So you need to monitor this trend because you are dealing with the environment, you are dealing with society. Now, women are living longer than men. That's what the life expectancy is telling us. What is it that men are doing that is killing them earlier than women? Because your product will be targeting certain group of people. So you need to have an idea about these things in the environment. So if you know my age and you know my gender and my child is in your school, you should be able to tell. You should be able to tell certain things that you don't need anybody to come and speak to you about. So those who have retired and their children are in your school, at least you should understand what they're going through because it's not easy. So we are saying that in monitoring the environment, we take care of those forces. That's the first step. The second one is now to forecast the demand for employees. Because we are planning, we are forecasting. Forecasting means you are predicting. You are speaking into the future. So in forecasting the demand for employees, the following factors are taken into consideration. You are taking the demand for the company's product and services and the market fluctuation. So you are looking at the season and off-season demand because we all eat chocolate, but the rate at which we buy chocolate during 14th February is different. So if you use the 14th February sales to go for or to stock your shop of chocolate, you end up not selling until the next year again. And that will not be the best thing to do. So you are determining how averagely how many people patronize your school. If it is vacation classes, which is not limited to only your students, how many people from other schools come? So you have your core people and you have people who patronize other services of your school, not necessarily as a student of your school. So you must be able to determine the demand for your product and your services. And then times when there are fluctuations, high or low. Then you should also be able to check on the factors like general economic climate and trends in determining how to, because if you demand or you desire to bring more people, you are going to pay them, and economic factors will influence your ability to pay them or not. You must also look at the availability of raw material. As much as you want to bring 50 teachers, the question is, will you get space for them to teach? Will they even get students to teach? If you want to reshuffle them, would that be best economic decision to make? So this can affect production and hence HR. So the availability of raw materials must be determined. Do you have the student? You want to bring additional teachers. So this is important. Technological trend in the industry. Formerly, we were doing face-to-face. So that is limited to bringing in more teachers. Now with technology, you can have few teachers. Some will teach, or the same teacher can teach face-to-face and can come and teach the rest online. So all this must be answered. The impact of technology on the number of people you need as a teacher to teach. Technology can play a role. I can be here and teach anywhere in the world. So I don't need to move into your country to get accommodation or be given accommodation before I can teach in your school. And that is the essence of technology. In forecasting the demand as the second pillar of the processes, we say that forecasting demand for employees can be done through two main methods: quantitative forecasting and qualitative forecasting. And if you take the quantitative techniques in forecasting demand under the quantitative, so you can use what we call time series or trend analysis. You are using 2021, you had 3 classes and your total population was 150. Okay, 2022, which was the second year, you had 4 classes and your total student strength 190. 2023, you had 5 or 6 classes and the total population was 286. This is giving you a pattern that the least you get a year is 1 class. The least you get is about 40 or 40 something new students come to your school every year. But that's the minimum. You will see that at the 3rd year, you've had about almost 3 times what you used to get. What it's telling you is that there's a pattern in the data over time. So that you speak to you about the coming years, that you are expanding, that you are increasing, that you need more teachers. So we say that the pattern in the data over time, examining historical data to determine any consistent upward or downward or stable movement in a series of data points can be helpful to you to know whether you are demanding or you are not demanding more hands. You can use what we call regression analysis which helps in forecasting. It's a forecasting model, which helps to build a relationship between dependent and independent variables, past staffing levels, such as variables like sales figures, production levels, among others. So you are looking at number of classrooms, number of teachers. So it means that anytime a class, you have additional class, you have more teachers. If that is the case, you can use that as a model to project. There are sometimes you are bringing teachers in not because you are adding additional class. You can have the same class, but then you want to bring additional teacher. For example, if you take English, there are various parts of English that warrant different teachers, but it's the same class. So your reason for which you need additional teacher may not necessarily be a different class, but maybe based on a subject and its areas. So other technical courses may warrant additional teachers, but not necessarily additional class. So you have to look at that. Then we talk about the qualitative method. You say you can use what you call management forecast. You can use opinions and judgment of supervisors and departmental heads, because they are experienced people who have handled these issues over and over, who from experience are knowledgeable about organizations' future employment needs. They can tell you. Excuse me. Then another qualitative measure you can use is what we call Delphi techniques, expert estimates. So this estimate is using a situation where expert can give you a consensus. You know, expert can differ on certain issues. When you put issues before expert and they differ, then it means that it's not worth pursuing that. But if expert A, 2, 3 agree on a particular thing, then it means it is well grounded. It means they all agree that you can use that. And we are saying that Delphi technique is a method that you can use, a technique developed by Rand Corporation in the 1940s, and its purpose is to get the most reliable consensus of a group of experts. Then you can deploy it as a means. If they agree that this is the way to go, then you know that experts are speaking and they all agree on this. So I can use this to determine. You can talk about the third one, the third step, or the third level of what we call the processes of human resource planning or forecasting for human resource. So the third one is forecasting the supply, not the demand. Now you are forecasting the supply of employee. If you need, it must be available. So now you are looking at having determined how you are going to need the hands that will be available. Now, where do you get it and how do you get them? So this has to do with the determining if there will be sufficient number and types of employees to fill the available anticipated vacancies in the organization. So the process of forecasting supply of employees involves tracking current employment levels in the organization and making future projections. And you can do that by internal labor supply or external labor supply. So the fact that you need people to teach does not necessarily mean you should go out. You can get some from internal, and if you can't get from internal, then you can go for the external supply. So if we go for the internal, you can, with the internal labor supply, the following tools can be used. You can use what we call the staffing tables, which may be prepared and used to summarize existing jobs in the organization, the number of employees occupying those jobs, and the vacancies that exist. So as you do the summary, the staffing table, you will pick, that table will summarize existing jobs, the positions and what jobs exist in the organization. How many people are doing it? Is it enough for such number of people to do it, or you think you have overburdened the existing people, so that you know that, oh, averagely, this class should be handled by 3 people. But it's only 1 person that is handling. It means I will need additional 2 persons. So staffing tables can give you an idea. You can also use what we call the Markov analysis, which is a technique that may be used to show the percentage and the actual number of employees who remain on each job from year to year, and the proportion of those who are promoted, demoted, and transferred, or those who leave the organization. So if you do the Markov analysis, you really know that it's not about how many people are on the job today, but you are looking at it within a year, within a year. So apart from that, you are also looking at, oh, if people stay on the job for a year, how many of them are promoted to the next level? Or within a year, how many people get demoted? Because demotion and promotion will create vacancies to be filled. How many people get transferred? How many people leave to go and join other organizations or join their husbands or their wives elsewhere? Because this will give you an idea. So Markov analysis could be another way to look at it. And then you can talk about replacement chart, which is also useful tool that provide a list of all the current job holders and also identify persons who are available for possible replacement should any of such opening occurs. So you are preparing replacement chart to really identify who and who on the job that if it comes to critical today, we want to replace, who and who should be replaced. So there are people who are on the job, they are only there because you can't find replaceable for them, not because you want them to be there. So you target or you prepare this one down. So at any point in time, you are not going to struggle to identify because you already know. So today, if we come to your school, will you be part of the replacement chart? Or where will you be found? We talk about factors that influence the external. We say you can do it internally or externally. So under the step 3, we are looking at internal or external labor supply. The external labor supply can be also seen from 1, population density and profile or educational level of the people you are considering. If your job is said that you are looking for lecturers, you know that lecturers start from PhD. So you ask yourself, in your locality, in your area there, how many PhD people are available? How many will you be able to move from Accra, Kumasi, Cape Coast to come to Brother Tuchok Secondary School? How many people will you be able to attract to bring to that village? So that should be of concern to you. Mobility of labor or pattern of migration. So how many people come to that area? Knowing very well that everybody is rather leaving the village to the city to look for job. So if you are now looking at how people are now going to move from the city to your village, is that going to be easy? What about the unemployment rates? That should be of concern to you. Why are they unemployed? Are the jobs available? Because in every unemployment situation, any vacancy you put there, you will get people who are overqualified and people who are not even qualified. All of them are trying their luck. They think there's no job. So even if I get secondary school job, a secondary school certificate holder's job, I'll tell them I don't have the other qualifications for now. So I get a job, I start over time, then if they are considerate and they are interested in other qualification, then I bring it on board. So unemployment is an issue because if you are in an environment where there is unemployment, you have employers looking for skill they can't find, not because people are not there, because there are people who do not have the skill they want. So government policies regarding employment could also be a factor. Can you imagine if the government decides to say that all new factories that are coming up should not be situated in cities, but they should go to the villages? You see how the other villages will also get the amenities and other things that you and I are enjoying in the cities. So government policies can influence. If they place moratorium on the siting and the location of universities right now, you see that the villages and other places will also get universities. So that will also influence getting people for such positions. So competition for human resource is also the supply side factor that must be considered. Local transport facilities. Now we complain that teachers do not want to go to the villages. Why should they be interested in going to the villages when simple internet connectivity is not there, when electricity is not there? Why should they be ready to go? If you improve the condition, left alone thinking about the movement, if you give them motorbike, who will buy the fuel for them? Even the fuel, where do they get it to buy? So local transport facilities, proximity to work and city center are all issues that influence. So if you are in a village and you are thinking of employing first degree holders, second degree holders, remember they consider all this. If they set up from their homes and they are coming to school, how long will it take them to get to the school? If they vacate and they travel to the city and they are coming, how long will it take? If they get to Adosu and they have to cross the pontoon, they have to cross with the pontoon, the ferry, to Chiaman from to move to the Nkokruma Agri Secondary School to teach, how long is it going to take them to get there? If the pontoon breaks down, how long are they going to stay in Adosu to be able to move to Chiaman from and move on to Donkokruma or Chi or Tiasi to be able to teach? So these are issues that if you sit in the city and you consider this, somebody in the village will also consider this. So they will influence the supply side. And if you are not attracting teachers to your school in your village, it's because of the supply side factors. Now, the last stage is the balancing supply and demand consideration. That's why you are comparing the second and the third. So the fourth stage is to compare the third and the fourth. The second and the third. It is said that no matter how the demand is so desirous, no matter how you think that you need about 50 or 20 or 30 people, can you pay? Will you find them? These are supply side issues that you must answer. So after analyzing the supply of the supply and the demand for future workers, we tell ourselves the two forecasts are compared to determine what action to take. The staffing possibilities will depend on whether there are shortage or surplus of employees. So in an environment or in a situation where you are looking for scarce skills, it will be very expensive. But when the skills are in abundance, it will be cheaper. So in a situation of labor shortage, the organization has the following options: hiring full-time staff, hiring part-time staff, and then asking employees to work overtime, because labor is in shortage. You don't find the teachers. The teachers you are looking for, you won't get them. So what do? You engage on overtime. So teachers teach on their normal stream, you pay them. Then you pay them higher when they are coming for the overtime. You can call people who have retired to come in as part-time. Then you pay them, because you cannot get the skills on the market. They are not available. But if they are in abundance, the organization can follow any of the following. If they are in abundance and somebody is not teaching well, that's where the layoff, termination can come in, demotion, because you can get better ones. Then that's why you can allow the retiree to retire. People will say that, let the dead bury the dead. But if you are not having the experts, then the very ones who have retired must find a way of re-engaging them. Excuse me. So, development of plans for action. After the first 4 stages have been exhausted, there's a need for an action plan. So this is where you draw your plan, which will serve as a blueprint to guide you. So the action plan will enable the organization to achieve the goal set in some proper sequence. And it is by doing that that we can see that you have developed your HR plan. And that is going to regulate how you do your planning in terms of HR skills or in terms of the caliber and quantity of people you need for the organization. So basically, HR planning is to think ahead. Think about the number and the caliber of people who you'll be losing and how you will replace them in the future. So how do we overcome the challenges in the human resource planning? Information about the internal and external environment must be collected and analyzed well and ahead of time. Organizations will engage the services of people with the right expertise to undertake the process. One thing about teachers is that they think they can do everything just in the name of economics, just in the name of they want to save money. It's not everything that you have to save money. Some of the things you must spend to allow the expert to do it so that you can get the right information. Don't always think because you can talk, you can go to the table to argue with your employer. Allow the experts who are labor experts in negotiation to do that. Identifying current trends and come up with predictions which are accurate given the said situation could be very helpful in determining the human resource planning situation of your organization. The use of human resource information system. So now people are building information systems that are very helpful to the organization so that they can gather, they can store, they can analyze, they can control the flow of information throughout an organization on its human resource. So by just a click on the button, you can analyze several information in the system. Because it's a system you have built, the information keep on coming in. You are collecting the information today, which may not be useful today, but tomorrow, when you need that information, it already exists. You don't need to go to anybody to now be asking of the information. So as people come in, before you are adding it, you are gathering information on who is the parent, where is it coming from, what characteristics of the teacher, the parent you need, you captured it. The teacher is coming in for the first time, you captured it. So if 10 years to come, you want to analyze that teacher's background, where is you can track the development, the progress, the growth of that teacher. If you need somebody to replace him, you know which caliber of person to bring in. So human resource information system is the order of the day. But most HR people want to go the paper way. They want to do everything by the file. Now technology has come in to help us. So let's leverage on technology to be able to do things better. How do we link HR planning to organizational strategic planning? We must assess the current human resources. Who are the people we have now? We must assess them. Then we must determine the demand for labor, as well as estimating the future supply of labor and estimate changes in the future supply, as well as matching the demand and the supply of labor. Then we say that we have done our human resource planning as required. So today we have done job analysis and human resource planning. Now that we have done this, we are now qualified to look at recruitment and selection when we meet next week. So your assignment for next week has been given in the previous presentation or the first presentation. So that is what I have for you. I told you we have to leave here before 3. So that is what I have done. If there are questions, let's answer. If there are experiences, let's share. And then we can call it a day. Thank you for having you. And let me hear from you. Are you online with me or I have lost contact?
We are here.
So talk to me. Any
Please, I
question?
have
Any
a
experience?
question.
Any experience? Yes.
My question is that does staff attrition impact human resource planning? I'm asking because there has been situations where human resource management do not declare the salary or salary structure of specific job. In this regard, sometimes employees are giving their appointment letters sometimes weeks or months after their probation period.
So you want to know?
With this, my question is that, yeah, I would like to know, are there advantages for not declaring the salary structure, or are there disadvantages to that? That's my question, please.
Okay. You know that the function of the HR, as we saw in the first presentation, is both how we bring the people in, how we maintain and develop them, and how we retire them. So we are also not saying that people that we retain or we desire to retain cannot have their own desire to leave an organization. That's not what we are saying. We are saying that as far as it borders on us, the Bible says that as far as it borders on you, live at peace with all men. So as far as it borders on us as HR managers, we are desirous of ensuring that we keep the people as long as we can. If they die, that's not our fault. If they are not leaving because our bad HR policies, then that is not our fault. But as far as it requires of us, we must do everything possible to keep them, because the cost of maintaining workers is far cheaper than the cost of bringing a new person and getting the person well started on the job. So if people come in and they are leaving, not because we want them to leave, then that is questionable to our HR capabilities. So people coming in and not staying on the job to do what we require of them, then they are leaving. Then the next time another person is coming in, and then we are spending to recruit them, select them, and train them to fit for the job. And tomorrow they are leaving. Then we bring a new person in. Then it means that we are causing financial loss to the organization. So if HR people are not planning, it means that they are not really putting into place, they are not putting in place the number they will need and the caliber they will need. So it means they are just bringing in any person. And if you meet me, or if I apply to be employed in your job and I am an access holder, and you ask me what do I want to become, and I say I want to become a lecturer. If you are a good HR manager, that should tell you that in Ghana, you cannot use SS certificate to become a lecturer. So it means that I will only work for you temporarily. It means that even whilst you are asking me that question, I might have bought a university form. It means I may soon go to university, because no one will be a lecturer with SS certificate. So that should tell you that I may not be with you for long. I may need the money to go to school. So I work with you for a year or two, and then off, I'm going. So if you are a good HR manager, you should use this information to determine how long I can be with you. And that should tell you whether you would need to employ me or not. But if you don't do your things well, then this will affect the attrition rate, because you fail to plan and plan well. So planning is about the caliber and the number. So if we don't know this, and we are just bringing people on board, they may not fit for purpose. And some may only need our organization to meet their needs, or to be able to accumulate money and further school. But because we are not doing our stuff well, they will make, or they will use us to achieve their aim, but the organization cannot make the best out of these people. It means that our HR planning is weak. It means that our HR managers are not doing the right thing. So people are just coming in to use us to achieve what they want, but we are not getting what we want to get out of them. It means our HR department is weak in terms of thinking, in terms of getting the right people for us. Because HR is supposed to bring in people who help the organization achieve its aim. So if we are failing along the area of attrition, then it means that somebody is not doing his or her work well. You mentioned another element that you said the salary or what have you. I didn't hear that aspect well. Or I don't know if what I've said I've answered the question. The lady who asked the question, please, can you help us if that is okay with you, or the other aspect you mentioned about is it salary or compensation or the rate? You say it's not disclosed also. Hello.
I think she said the salary is not disclosed. You go through probation. After the probation, before you get to know how much you have to take as a salary.
Okay, so every appointment letter, before even you report at work, you are supposed to know through the appointment letter that this is how much you are going to pay. You are on this scale. Your annual salary is going to be this. So there's a scale, lowest and highest, which you fall within. So the policy may be that during probation, you may be paid half of what you are entitled to. And after the probation, the half that you were not paid will all be added to your, or will be paid back to you. Because at the probation time, you are studying each other. And it's a time that you can decide not to work with the employer, or the employer can also decide not to work with you. So termination or ending the relationship due probation does not have any serious legal consequences. And we'll be delving into all these things when we move on along the line. So disclosing, I don't know which employment setup is that will not let you know how much you earn, but they will only give it to you after the probation. I don't know whether that should be the right thing. All that I know is that before we write to say that you have been successful and you have been appointed as so and so, and you will see the third issue will be about your salary. Your salary for this position will be this. Yes, though it's not something that
they don't even give you the letter. She said they don't give you the letter until after probation, so you don't even know what it entails. That was the question, if I remember.
Okay, so it means that you have not been appointed yet. So
Exactly.
it means that for them, the probation is even part of the selection process. Because if you have been appointed, your appointment is by the letter. So the condition of service is in the letter. So it means that in this place, you have not been appointed yet. And the probation for them is part of the appointment process or the selection process. Have I made myself clear? Hello, do you understand?
Yes,
Yes,
we
sir.
understand.
Okay. So any
So,
other?
sir, my question is, if you are an HR and you recruit people, and at the same time after training them they leave, then can you help me? So what is lacking? Because you recruit them, you train them to the maximum that you want, so that they will uplift the organization for you. Then after that, no, after all set and done, then they will leave the organization for you to look for other people. Then can you help me with that? So what is lacking over there?
Yeah, so that is what we'll be doing next week. The selection process is key. If in the course of courtship, you don't study your partner well, there are things, the warning signs you are supposed to see. So if you don't check, the warning signs will be on the wall. If you fail to see, when you marry, you'll see them. They will manifest in the greater level. And that should be something you should have seen earlier. So during the probation, during the selection, before even the probation, during the selection process, once you receive the appointment letter, the application letter from the person, what you do to scrutinize, to begin with the selection process, by the time you are done with the selection process and say, this is the person who qualifies for the job, certain things should be clear to you. If you don't do it well, then you end up bringing the wrong person on board. And the next week lecture, we are going to delve into these areas. What do I use for the selection to make sure that the right persons are on board, so that I don't just finish the process and the people will leave me and then I have to repeat the entire process, causing financial loss to the organization. That is the next lecture we are going to have next week.
Okay, sir.
Exactly.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yo. So any other question? Any contribution? It's not only a question you can ask. You can share your experience with us in terms of the human resource planning and what we call the job analysis. So if there are no,
with the human resource planning,
yeah,
I quite remember before I completed access with the people teacher, there was a school I went. Now, what they use for selection was that when your results come, they don't look at the one who has gotten all passes. But if you have at least 1 or 2 fails, they will pick you. Because they knew that you will have to write a receipt for you to carry the children to some stage before you leave them. But when they saw that when they select those who have get distinction throughout, it means that after the selection within that year, when they buy the forms and they are picked, they are going to leave the case in the middle of the academic year. So that was what I also saw that at that school, and it was helping them to progress, because until you leave the school, at least you have spent about 2 years before you leave the case to continue with your own. That's what I saw.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Any other experience? Okay. If there are no other volunteers to share experiences with us, then we'll leave you to go and translate those experiences onto answering the questions that have been posed for us, preparing us for next weekend. So I thank you all for coming. And without you, we wouldn't have been able to come this far. As far as today is concerned, we can say we have had, I think, 14 people who have been able to join or who are online right now. So we say we thank you all for making the time to come. So we pray that the good Lord will keep us alive, protected, blessed, so that we can bounce back a week today better and greater. So God bless you and keep you. God bless your household, bless your school, bless your students, bless your peoples, and then bless your family members so that you can have sound mind to go through this program. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
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 So see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.